Good morning, students. This is class 3, model 3, power steering working principle. So, in this class, we are going to learn working principle of power steering, then introduction to suspension system. Then again in suspension system, we are going to learn what is like coil springs, like leaf springs, what is torsion bar. Okay, so we are going to learn different principle behind the suspension system. So in last class we have learned the brief principles behind, that is the power steering gears. What are the different types of power steering gears? So we have learned what is worm wheel and worm sector, then cam and drive lever. Okay, then we have learned different principles behind how exactly the gear mechanism works. So in this class we are going to learn the principle behind power steering. So in heavy duty tracks and tractors, driver has to apply inadequate effort to turn the wheels. The use of booster arrangement in steering system overcomes this drawback. So the booster is put into operation when the steering wheel is turned. So it does most of the work for steering. So the power steering was uses compressed air, electrical mechanisms and hydraulic pressure. So there are two types of power steering you can see here. So one is hydraulic device or hydraulic power steering. One is electric motor steering. So how exactly this mechanism it will work? So the engine is used to drive the pump, especially in hydraulic power steering. So the later an independent electric motor runs the pump. In case of hydraulic, okay, so the engine is used to drive the pump. So from the pump, the pressure is generated, then it is actuated through some mechanism, or the steering will be run by power steering. Okay, so in electric motor, sorry, in electric power steering, so motor is on. So through that motor, the linkages are connected automatically. It will reduce the effect of the steering on the driver side. So both develop fluid pressure, and this pressure acts on the piston within the power cylinder so that the piston assists the rack effect. So amount of assistance depends on the extent of pressure acting on the piston. So therefore if more steering force is required, so the pressure must be raised. This is what the concept behind this. So if I want more steering force, so the pressure must be raised. The variation in the fluid pressure is accomplished by control valve, which is linked to the steering main shaft. So if you come to the working principle of power steering, this is what the diagram you need to draw. If he asks what is the working principle of power steering, okay. So this is the simple schematic diagram of like hydraulic like power steering, or it is simple power steering, how exactly it will work. So the figure shows simplified diagram of hydraulic booster. The arrangement consists of worm, you can see top side, okay. So this is worm, and you can see the worm sector or worm wheel, the big one, like cone shape, okay. And you can see the distributor side wall, which will distribute the oil or which will distribute the fluid. Then there is one more, the main important component, that is called as booster cylinder. This is what it will try to boost the pressure, okay. So this is called as gear rack, and these are called as oil pipelines, okay, fine. So this is what the arm. So when the worm sector rotates to and fro, the arm it will tilt, then ultimately it will connect it to drag link. Ultimately these are connected to the wheels. So when the steering wheel is like turned, the worm wheel, okay, the worm turns the sector wheel, sector worm wheel, and hence actuates the arm. So when the steering wheel is turned, automatically worm, it will actuate the worm sector, it will try to turn, ultimately it will try to actuate the arm. So the arm in turn actuates the road wheels through the drag link. So there is a drag link, to automatically it will actuate the road wheels. Okay. If the resistance offered to turn the wheels is too high, okay, so the resistance offered to turn the wheels, so not to offer like more resistance is required to turn the wheels is too high, and the driver effort to the steering wheel is too weak. So when resistance is more, automatically effort, the driver's effort will become weak. Then the worm, okay, then the worm, whatever the worm that is there, like a screw in a nut, will be displaced actually together with a distributor sidewall. Okay, so this is what it happens. Then the worm, okay, then what happens, like a screw in a nut will be displaced actually together with the distributor sidewall. This axial momentum will admit compressed air or oil into the booster. So we'll actuate this automatically. So what happens from this pipeline, okay, so axially together with the distributor valve, then the axial movement will admit compressed air or oil into the booster cylinder. Automatically it will enter into the booster cylinder through the pipeline. So the piston in the booster cylinder will turn the road wheels via the gear rack. Then automatically from the booster cylinder, automatically it will turn the road wheels via the gear rack. So the toothed worm sector, RM, and the drag link. So the piston in the booster cylinder, what happens? Will turn the road wheels via the gear rack. Okay, the toothed arm worm sector. Okay, then RM and the drag link. So this is what it will try to reduce on, okay, driver side. So in the meantime, the worm sector will actuate the worm. Okay, again will actuate the worm and will shift it along the distribution sidewall to its initial position. So now to come to initial position again, okay, the worm sector will actuate the worm and will shift it along the distribution sidewall to its initial position. This movement of the side valve will stop the piston travel, okay, in the booster cylinder. Here the system uses power assistance in proportion to the effort needed to turn the wheels. Okay. So this is what the working principle behind the power steering. Fine. Okay. So from steering wheel, it will try to rotate the worm. From worm wheel, the worm sector will rotate. Then from worm wheel sector, it will try to actuate the arm. Then again, it will actuate the drag link and to the road wheels. So now to boost the cylinder, so again the worm wheel, so axially means axis to the shaft, it will try to operate distribution valve. From distribution valve, the oil or compressed air, again it will try to enter into the booster cylinder or cylinder. Then again it will try to rotate the gear rack, and in turn it will try to rotate worm sector, and again it will try to rotate arm, drag link, etc. Okay, so this is what the mechanism of the power steering goes. Fine. So what is hydraulic power steering? So hydraulic power system for reducing the steering effect on the vehicles using a hydraulic pressure. Okay. So hydraulic pressure is needed here to assist the or to turn the wheels. It is intended to provide for easier driving direction control of the car while preserving feedback and stability. So steering booster is arranged so that should booster, so that the booster fail, the steering will continue to work. So the working liquid, also called as hydroliquid or oil, is the medium by which pressure is transmitted. Common working liquids are based on mineral oil. So for pressure restriction in the pump, there is a restrictive valve which is adjusted on different cars in the range of 7 to 13 megapascal. So if I see the view of hydraulic power steering, this is what the view of hydraulic power steering goes. Okay. So there is a pump will be there is a steering, then steering column, then there is a pump will be there is a pulley, okay, so belt drive system, then there is a steering gear will be there. Already we have discussed about different types of steering. Okay, so pump, how exactly it will work? So you can see the figure. So this is what the pressure, how exactly there are different types of pumps. This is one type of vane pump will be there in order to develop a pressure. So there is a fluid reservoir will be there. There is a return hose fitting. Yes, so that you can see the brown color indicates it is fluid. Okay. Then vane, rotor, then pressure hosing fitting, then relief valve. So when the pressure is developed to maximum extent, so automatically it will try to like open the valve. That is called as exactly a relief valve. Okay. Then the fluid enters from this section. Okay. Then it enters through the vane. Then vane it will try to rotate. So in turn it will rotate the rotor. Okay. Then the pressure is developed. Then there is the pipeline that is connected through the relief valve pipe. Okay. So the pressure enters through that relief valve. Then only when maximum pressure is developed, automatically try to actuate. Then it enters through the steering gears. Then in steering gears, you know how exactly the pressure can be developed. Okay. So this is one type of exactly hydraulic power steering. So in detail, if you learn, okay, so how exactly that hydraulic pressure it will try to work. So you can see clearly here. So I have sent some animations also. So from the animation you can clearly know how exactly the power, the hydraulic steering or electrical steering, it will try to work. Okay, so just go through that animations. So what happens here when the rack is rotated or when the steering wheel is rotated? So you can see the rack, piston, fluid lines, rotary valve, then steering column, then two reservoir, then again from pump. So I told you there are different types of pumps will be there. Then there is a pinion will be there. So pinion and rack. So when the steering column is rotated, okay, so what happens? The whole rack and pinion it will try to actuate. It will try to rotate the reciprocating motion. Okay. So at that time, this piston it will try to pressurize the fluid. So pressure, the fluid will be there in that. So as the piston rotate to and fro, okay, so the pressure is developed on the fluid, then the fluid through the fluid lines, it will enter into the like rotary valve. So again, what happens? The fluid is developed, the pressure is developed there. So automatically, what happens? So again, we have talked about different types of gears. So when the pressure is developed, again extra, it will try to boost or give the extra power to the steering column. Then automatically again it will try to, the effort will be less on steering column. So this is all the system, it will try to work in hydraulic pressure. Okay. So one is called as the electrical power steering. So otherwise it is EPS. Use electric motor to reduce the effort by providing steering assistant to the driver. So sensor detect the motion. So here mainly sensors are used to detect the motion and torque of the steering column. And a computer module applies resistance torque via electric motor coupled directly to either steering gear or steering column. You can see here. So this is electrical power steering. So red color line indicates it is electrical energy, then brown color indicates it is mechanical energy. So first when like the driver inputs the torque. So first driver when the steering is rotated, so he is inputting the torque. Then this is called a steering wheel shaft. Okay. So when the steering wheel is rotated or column is rotated, then it will try to like actuate. So I told you the brown color indicates it is mechanical energy, the red indicates it is electrical energy. Then first mechanical energy, so when the steering is rotated, then rack and pinion converts driver torque to rack force. Okay. Then again that rack force, again the electronic torque sensor sends signals to the computer. Okay. So once the torque is developed, the sensor sends signals to the computer. That is what the electrical energy starts. Then computer reads vehicle speed from the sensor. Then on demand electric power is drawn from the charging system. Okay. Then computer sends torque command to the motor. Then again motor creates assist torque. Okay. Then again mechanical energy will come into picture. Then assist torque transmitted to the rack and pinion. Then again the rack screw converts assistant torque to assistant force. So that is what again it is transmitted to the wheels. Okay. So if failure occurs, suppose the motor failure occurs, again there is one arrangement is provided, that is separate gear mechanism is provided. Directly it is converted to like rack and pinion arrangements. Directly if the steering is rotated directly, that shaft is connected directly to the rack and pinion arrangement. Okay. So in animation you can clearly visualize the things. Okay. This is what the electrical power steering working principle goes. Then what is the difference between hydraulic and electric? So electric power steering gives better response at different speed as compared to hydraulic power steering. So hydraulic power steering is complicated compared with electrical steering. So hydraulic power steering system weighs more than electric power steering. Okay. So hydraulic power steering uses hydraulic fluids for operation, whereas there is no such fluids needed for electric power steering. Thus electric power steering needs less maintenance compared to hydraulic power. So hydraulic power steering is less prone to problems and faults and are more durable as compared to hydraulic power steering. So hydraulic power steering gets more power from engine. So it reduces the fuel efficiency of the engine. This is what the main you want to improve the efficiency. So hydraulic power steering gets more power from the engine. From the engine only the hydraulic power is generated. So electric power steering consumes power from the battery, which is also charged by the engine, but it consumes less power compared to hydraulic power steering. So car having electric power steering will give more mileage than one with hydraulic power steering. Okay. Hope so the concepts are clear regarding this power steering. So in next section we shall see the operation behind or the principle behind the suspension system. Okay. Thank you.